Hey guys, it's Sarah. Hope you're all doing amazing. Today is an entire video full of Dollar Tree recipes. In my previous video, I took $35 to Dollar Tree to see what food I could buy and what meals I could come up with, and today we're going to be cooking those meals. Some were a hit and some were a miss, and I'm about to share it all with you. Before I jump into it, I just want to be clear, Dollar Tree is not going to always be the cheapest price out there. I am fully aware of it, but sometimes it's the best option for people that struggle with transportation issues. Maybe you're just a single person and you're only cooking for yourself. This is a video to inspire you that you can make good meals for you, yourself, and your family using everything from Dollar Tree. So I hope that you enjoy. Subscribe if you are new. Give the video a thumbs up because it means the world to me. And without further ado, let's get started on these recipes. Starting off with breakfast, we're going to be using these few Dollar Tree ingredients. I switched out the Farmer John sausage for the Jimmy Dean, which I like a lot better, and then I'm going to be using one thing of the mild cheddar cheese, the Hungry Jack shredded potatoes, and one egg. We are going to shred down our mild cheddar cheese just because the Dollar Tree shredded cheese is terrible, not worth $1.25, so you have to use a little bit of elbow grease with this, but it will definitely be worth it in the end. We're going to set that aside and start prepping our hash browns. These are actually pretty convenient because you can take them on the go and just throw them away. All you have to do is open it up, add hot tap water into the container to the fill line, close it back up and let it sit for anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how soft you want your hash browns to be. Next, we're going to start prepping our egg mixture. I'm doing 2 eggs, a little bit of the Dollar Tree 2% milk, salt and pepper to taste, and then you're going to whisk that up. I first saw this recipe online and I never tried it, so this is definitely trial and error. At first I took one of the muffin tins and I added some oil right to the bottom. I put that in the oven so that the oil could get nice and hot to try to cook some of the hash browns. While that was getting hot, I also added some of the hash browns into one of these heart silicone molds. I feel like these always cook quickly from the bottom to the top, and I feel like that's how the hash browns have to cook, but this kind of was a fail, so I would not suggest doing this. And you'll see at the end, I'm not really an egg type of person. I feel like egg is not my favorite thing, so I wanted to make some of them with just the sausage, cheese, and hash brown, but in the end that did not come together. You'll see I'll have to reuse the sausage and put egg on top because it just does not come together like you think that it would, and I definitely overfilled these silicone molds and ended up making a big old mess. I am a messy chef. My husband hates it. He always has to do the dishes, and I'll use like every single spoon, pot, pan, dish. I use it all, so it's about to get real messy over here, but it's a lady heart at work, okay? I'm working hard over here for y'all trying to get this Dollar Tree content out. Look at that. I had to clean that all up myself, and I was pretty upset. So I went much slower and added that into the oven. With the leftover mixture, I just added some over onto those other muffin tins, and I cracked one egg on top, and that was actually the best one. So if you try that, give that a try. Okay, so here we're messy again, but we're reusing the sausage that did not work without any egg, and we're just pouring another egg mixture right on top, and when it came out perfect. The best thing about these little mini quiches, that's what I'm calling them, is you can freeze them and then reheat them. So this is a great meal prep item that you can use all from Dollar Tree. And look how cute that is, okay? There's potato all in there, there's sausage, there's cheese, there's egg. Yum, yum. Give it a thumbs up because I think it's going to come together. But we have more. Wait, there's more. There are more breakfast recipes, so let's get our coffee started first. Okay, I wanted to try a Dollar Tree coffee that I have not tried, and it's from the brand Victor Allen. We see that often at Dollar Tree, so I'm going to pour myself a glass of that right now. Now, my honest opinion was it's a no for me. It was extremely watered down. It had no taste. It tasted almost like creamer. I had to actually add some of my own coffee to it because I needed to pick me up. I give it a solid 3 or 4 out of 10. I would not buy it again. I wouldn't try it in another flavor. I would not recommend it. Unless you like a very muted coffee taste, this is not for me. Dollar Tree breakfast number 2, we're going to be using the Hungry Jack pancakes. If you've ever seen these Jimmy Dean pancake and sausage on a stick, this is the Dollar Tree version of that, and they are very good. We're going to start by dicing up our sausages. You don't want them to be super big. You don't want them to be too small. You want them to be like bite-sized pieces. 4 of them come in 1 pack for $1.25 at Dollar Tree. For this, I'm only using 1 package. I'm following a recipe from online, but I cut it in half, and I'll link it down below if you want to follow it as well. I'm doing 1 cup of pancake mix, 1/3 of a cup milk, 1 egg, and one of the entire bottles of maple syrup that's from Dollar Tree. You're going to give that a good mix. Now, this is a recipe where you can really jazz it up however you want. I'm adding in the cooked sausage, but you could also do fruit. You could do blueberries, strawberries. You could put in bacon. The possibilities are really endless, and I feel like some fruit mixed in with the sausage and the pancake would have been so good. I'm excited to try this again and make it a new way. But once we have it all mixed, we add in whatever add-ins you're going to be putting in, and then we're going to line our muffin tins. Next, we're just ladling in all of our little pancake mixture. You want to make sure not to overfill because they will get super big and super puffy if you put too much of the filling inside. Here's a look at what it should be looking like before you pop it into the oven. You put it in the oven on 350 for anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes, just keeping an eye on it so that you don't burn these little babies. Once you bring them out and you let them cool, this is how they should look. I did add a little bit of butter right to the top. They were a 10 out of 10, highly recommend. So easy, so good, so delicious. And it's also another item that you can meal prep ahead of time. You can freeze it in the freezer. I would recommend taking it out of the paper because it was a little tricky to get off, but the possibilities for this are endless and they literally tasted so good. I added a little bit of syrup right on there and I'm just thinking about them, it's making me hungry again. We're not done yet. We're going to be making some Dollar Tree overnight oats. I had one thing left of the maple syrup, so I wanted to use that for some maple brown sugar overnight oats. This is great because it can last for 5 days in the fridge. Another great meal prep item that you can get from Dollar Tree. I'm using 1 cup of rolled oats, 1 cup of milk. You can use whole milk, almond milk, oat milk. I'm using one of the entire jars of maple sugar, a nice heaping spoonful of brown sugar. This is going to give a nice little sweetness. Mix it up. I like to add in some chia seeds for fiber. You can add in fruit as well. Give it a good mix. You put the lid on, you let it sit in the fridge overnight. I typically would never eat this whole entire thing in one serving. I just put a nice little spoonful or a good amount in like a small little dish. We're going to have that along with our little egg bites, our pancake little muffins, and we're gonna have a nice hearty full breakfast that's all from Dollar Tree. That was super easy, super delicious, and could be meal prepped ahead of time that you didn't have to spend a ton of money on. So highly recommend giving these recipes a try. 10 out of 10. Like I mentioned before, that you can freeze these and they freeze really well. So I'm just taking some aluminum foil, some parchment paper. I'm starting with the parchment paper. I'm gonna wrap up all of our egg bites. Then I'm gonna wrap it in the aluminum foil, put it in a Ziploc freezer bag. Make sure you label it, you put the date, you put what's in there so that you don't forget. And then I'm going to wrap up the little pancake bites separately so that I can pull them out. And again, like I mentioned, I don't do it here, but I think that you should definitely do it. Take off that paper because that stuff was pretty annoying to get off. So look at how they turned out. Don't they look delicious? My husband absolutely loved them. He was like, pack them up, I can take them into work. He was skeptical at first, but he did end up liking them. So I definitely would recommend giving this a try. Our next Dollar Tree recipe is an easy lunch recipe. This is everything that we're going to be using from Dollar Tree. We're going to get started by boiling our water and adding our spaghetti into our sauteed pot. Make sure you saute it so it has a nice good flavor. Get your marinara sauce going. You might want to doctor it up with like a little bit of sugar, salt, pepper, season it a bit, but that's what I'm doing. Now I wanted to share an easy hack. I found this little contraption on Temu. All I do is add in just some regular bland oil, like cooking oil, and now you have a spray little container. You don't have to keep rebuying those spray oils. This works super duper well and it's reusable, so definitely recommend checking out Temu for that. I love this thing. So we're going to place our bread down on here. The Geo's bread is superior, top notch. It tastes so good. I wish it was a little bit bigger because it is kind of like smaller little Texas toast, but it was okay. Now we're going to drain our pasta once it's nice and al dente. You're next going to start in your pasta sauce and get it all nice and mixed up. This recipe would also work really well with like day-old spaghetti, but now we're just going to take our pasta, put it onto our Texas toast, and we're going to top it with a good amount of sauce and mozzarella cheese. You can also put a little bit of Parmesan cheese on there if you want to. Only the bottom half we're going to be using because we're going to pop this back into the oven so that everything can get nice and melty. Once your spaghetti sandwiches are all done, you're going to bring them out of the oven oven, you're going to cut them in half, and now you have the most garlicky, buttery sandwich you've ever had. I know it sounds really weird, but it absolutely tastes delicious. It's like one of the best things that I've ever discovered, and I'm definitely going to continue to make this even if I don't use Dollar Tree ingredients. I give this a 9 out of 10. I just wish the sandwiches were a little bit bigger because your girl had to eat 2 of them and I wolfed them down. The garlic, the butter, the spaghetti, yum. Now, I used this rotini for our pasta chips, and this I think is where I failed. But you're just going to take some of your Dollar Tree pasta in salted boiling water. You add that in there until it's al dente. You don't want it to be overly done. You don't want it to be underdone. But once it's done, you're going to bring it out. You're going to strain it, and you're going to give it a nice cold rinse so that you stop the cooking process. Now, I followed a recipe online. I wasn't sure what you were supposed to do, how you were supposed to make it, but basically you can make it in the oven or the air fryer. You basically coat it in some type of oil, you put Parmesan cheese, herbs, seasoning, and then you bake it in the oven so that they get nice and crunchy. My husband thought that the crunchiness of it made it taste burnt. He almost liked it when it was like kind of like raw tasting. It had the weirdest flavor. I just could not understand. I think I might have used the wrong spaghetti because when it came out it looked pretty good, but it did not taste like I thought it was going to taste. There was nothing chip about it. It was like almost like undone noodle or burnt lasagna. Like it did not taste good. So we give that a 3 out of 10. Would not make that again. Our last and final Dollar Tree meal that we're going to be making is Dollar Tree chili. We're using all of these ingredients plus the Jiffy cornbread, rice. I did omit the corn chips. Now for the ground turkey, I'm going to be using ground turkey that I already had on hand. If you're daring, you can use the Dollar Tree beef patties. I don't want to use those. They have beef heart in them. I just cannot do it. Now I'm going to be seasoning this really well. That's what's important for a good chili. Good seasoning. These are everything that I'm going to be using. I am using these onion packets just to rehydrate the onion so that we can have a little bit of that good flavor. I'm taking my packet, I'm like removing all of the powder. I don't know what you would call that, but like the actual seasoning part. It is like a very salty packet, so be careful. Maybe some people want to add that in. I want to be cautious with the amount of salt that I'm putting in because chili can already be kind of salty. So I'm just taking the little dehydrated onion bits, removing it from the powder, and now I'm going to add that into a bowl with a little bit of warm water just to cover up the onions, and you're going to let that sit for about 15 minutes. Now we're going to work on browning our ground turkey. If you're looking for inexpensive ground beef, ground turkey, you can find it at Aldi typically. We're going to start by seasoning our ground turkey. I'm just using a little bit of that onion soup packet, our Saison. I don't know is that how you say it? I think so. I use this stuff in everything. It literally just will bring your dish alive, especially for soups and stews and stuff like that. You can use a little bit of salt and pepper, but definitely be cautious. I'm adding our rehydrated onions right into our ground beef mixture, and this just gives that good oniony taste that I feel like sometimes ground turkey can need because it is so bland and such like a neutral meat that it does need a little bit of jazzing up, and this did the trick, and I highly recommend it. So good. Once it was in the chili, you couldn't even taste it. So now we're going to work on actually making the chili. Unlike ground beef, I feel like ground turkey, you really don't need to strain. If you're using ground beef, make sure you strain it and you get all that excess grease and fat out. Now we're going to try to bring these frozen vegetables back to life. Sometimes they just hold so much dang water and it can make your soup too soupy. So I want to try to saute them down just a bit to remove a lot of that excess water, especially for the onions because I do not like raw onions. So I wanted to kind of like brown those up first as well. So that's what I'm doing here. Kind of unnecessary, but I feel like it's necessary. Once they came back to life, I'm adding that into our ground beef. I did strain our little salsa can just because it's sometimes hot with that tomato liquid in there and the kids don't really like spicy. Just adding those tomatoes in. Now you're taking your drained beans. Make sure you drain and rinse them because there's like a goo on there that you do not want in your chili. And now you're going to add in your chili seasoning packet. This one is from Dollar Tree. I'm just adding in a little bit of tomato sauce for flavor since I didn't have tomato paste. And now for the secret ingredient, cocoa powder. Do not knock it before you try it. I promise you this is going to help bring all those flavors together and it's going to taste amazing. I added in 1 tablespoon. You could do up to 2. I'm adding in just a little bit of water to help bring it all to life, just because you want to let it simmer and come alive. A little bit of beef bouillon for flavor, Worcestershire sauce for taste, and basically you're just going to let this simmer. If you have a bay leaf, add that in, maybe 2. Put a lid on it, let it simmer. The longer you let it cook, the better it's going to taste. Once it's almost dinner time, you're going to start making your rice. I'm doing 2 cups of rice. I'm adding that into our Instapot. I feel like this makes rice super easy, especially for people like myself that suck at making rice. I'm making sure to rinse it. Put that in there. It takes about 8 minutes. I'm making our cornbread as well. Now this is just a Jiffy cornbread. It's 75 cents at Dollar Tree. It makes the perfect portion for 4 people. I just followed the ingredients on the back, but I added in some of this honey. This honey was delicious. For $1.25, highly recommend. I'm still trying to use these little heart molds because it's almost February and I have them, and I overfilled them way too much, so they didn't even look like hearts. That was a fail on my part, but we're going to pop those in the oven and let those cook. Once your chili starts to look like this, it's ready to eat. I start with a layer of rice at the bottom. My husband eats rice with literally everything. And then I'm going to put the chili right on top. Add a little cornbread on the side, and now you have a super hearty, super filling meal. That's all from Dollar Tree, or everything but the meat. Dollar Tree Potstickers. Potstickers is not something I've ever had before, but I wanted to give it a go. I saw that they're super popular. A lot of people like them, and I wanted to see if I actually would like them myself. Dollar Tree does have 2 different versions. They have the $1.25 bag, and then they also have this $3 bag that's in the Dollar Tree Plus section. There are 2 different brands, but I wanted to give both of them a try to see if there's any real difference. I'm starting by taking just a little bit of vegetable oil, adding that into a pan and letting it get nice and hot. I'm adding in the $1.25 pot stickers first. They say to brown them on both sides and then you're going to steam them, so that's what I'm doing, and I did that for both bags. I was pretty surprised at the size difference between the $1.25 version and the $3 version. The other ones were much bigger, they were bulkier, they were like a little bit even more sturdier. So for an extra, like $1.25, you could probably get a little bit of a better version, but we're going to see how they taste. They were all steamed. I took a little bit of my favorite sweet chili sauce. I added that directly into the pan. I wanted to make sure that these had some flavor. I just didn't want them to be plain. I probably should have just tasted them off the jump like how they normally tasted, but we're going to give them a go. Let's see. While I was cooking them, they were smelling so good, so I was super excited to give them a try, but when I pulled them off, after I steamed them, the texture of them, I knew it was not going to be good because it almost had like a mushy texture, and I'm not sure if I did something wrong. Please let me know if you have a better way of cooking these. I'll happily remake them and try them again, but something about them was mushy and I was not expecting mush. Taste buds, I'm going to have to give this a 2 out of 10. It was just not my style, not something that I like, and definitely not something that I would rebuy. Out of the 2 options, the $3 version had much more filling. It was bigger. It was definitely the better buy. The Dollar Tree version was lacking a little bit in the filling department. It was way more dumpling. I would say that the texture on the inside was not what I was expecting. It was almost like a meatball consistency on the inside and then a dumpling on the outside. When it said chicken, I didn't really think that it meant ground chicken, but that might be my fault. If you're still here and you're a real one, leave the hidden word pancake, leave it in a funny, snarky, cute kind of way, and I'll feature some of you guys in my next video. I love you guys. I hope wherever you are safe, happy, and healthy, and doing amazing, and I will see you guys next time for another video. Bye, you guys.